Hey everyone, welcome back to the Intelligent Conversations podcast. Today I have the honor to learn from Serban Mare. Serban is a program manager and speaker. He left Romania when he was 23 with nothing but $200 and the American dream. After 12 years of hustling in electrical engineering, he learned it's more important to be fulfilled rather than happy and satisfied. Now he also helps others pursue that life of fulfillment. So, Serban, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you taking the time to come onto my show. But here's a question I want to start out with, and that is, can you kind of set the scene? Like, how did you, one, move to Romania here, and then two, just kind of shift your mindset to, you know what, money's not everything, I'm going to look for fulfillment?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the reason why I moved here was money. And, I think we go for what we lack the most, right? And in Romania, we didn't have a whole lot when I was growing up, and money was a big thing to have in Romania, where, for my first 7 years of my life, we were living under communism, so we didn't have a lot of opportunities. And here I had my brother who came in a few years before me and kind of set the stage, and that you can do a lot. So I was driven by money to come here, and I settled here, and I had a vision of what, like you said in the introduction, I had a vision of what the American dream is supposed to be. And I worked tirelessly to check all those boxes to realize that that's not an end-all be-all to have stuff, and we can never have enough. We always want some more, but material stuff is not what we should be pursuing.
So I guess kind of naturally, I want to ask this: if it's not material that we should be pursuing, what is it? Like, what should we pursue?
The big answer to what's the life's purpose, right? Let's just start slow. I look at so the way I've kind of formulated in my head is, everybody, one way or another, they're looking for peace of mind. So at the end of the day, when we go to bed and we put our head on the pillow, are we content with what we've done? Right, that peace of mind, and that extrapolates in so many things, right? Yes. And you can say that, oh, I want to be happy, but happy is, if you ride the roller coaster for a day, you're happy. If you ride it 3-4 days in a row, then you're just exhausted, right? It no longer brings you the happiness. That's why it's cool when we go on vacations, because it's so out of our norm that it does make us happy. But the true, lasting, more fulfilling happiness, that peace of mind, is in the way I've experienced life, is how we feel about ourselves when we're by ourselves. So how we feel, like, how do you feel when you're hitting that bed? And to me, is achieving a set of things in our lives that are important to us, to me, that make me to have progress, and they're difficult and they serve others. It's a lengthy explanation, but that's kind of how it is. And for a mom, it may be just being the awesome mom. For a business owner, it's just making enough money to provide for their family. Or for someone like me, I'm now pursuing to become a well-renowned motivational speaker, to influence people to change their mindset, to figure out that there is a better way of living life.
It's so true. There is so much more that life has to offer, and not just that American dream that don't get me wrong, like you kind of mentioned, it's a great starting point, right? But if I can remember off the top of my head, I believe that there's only so much money can do. Once you've taken care of your basic needs, there's not really much after that. It's like, okay, we buy more stuff, you buy a bigger house, a bigger boat, bigger jet, right? And after that, it doesn't matter, and you keep chasing this bigger and bigger thing, but you never find it. when in all reality, you need to find this bigger thing almost within yourself. Like, hey, what can I do, or what can I become in order to leave something here that is worth remembering? And I want to kind of get your thoughts on this, because this has been circulating in my mind. And that's, I think every person should have a purpose and a mission. The mission gives them direction, and the purpose is why they're here. I don't know. That is kind of something, because I think it's important to have that direction. So like that mission of like, okay, this is what we're setting out to achieve, but also have that overarching purpose. I don't know. What are kind of your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at things, because yes, we have. To me, it's my life is all goal driven. You can call those missions, right? It's if I just kind of wander, and that's so. What happened is I came to America. I achieved the American dream. I got my house. I got my corporate job. I'm putting for retirement. I'm going on the 2 times per year vacation. And I told myself, now I'm good. I don't need anything else. Now I can relax and enjoy life. But I don't think we thrive. We're achievers. We want to do more. We want to accomplish more in our lives. And a lot of people get distracted. It's like, oh, up until this point, I only went for money. So that's all I know. So let me just go for money. But if you have a bigger goal, something that you're passionate about, right? That mission that you were talking about, that purpose that you were talking about, something that's not just for yourself, but for a higher purpose, then you have an idea that you're heading towards. And in pursuit of that, you're helping other people. That gives you a lot more of that fulfillment that we were just talking about.
I agree.
I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I like that. I think that, I mean, ultimately it's that fulfillment that we are chasing. I like the analogy you gave earlier where you talked about the roller coaster and how, oh yeah, the first time you go, or even vacations, yes, you're happy. But over time, it becomes a part of who you are, and it just becomes like you get used to it. You're like, okay, this is my life now. And there is, like you were talking about, that drive in us to achieve more, achieve better, become something better. And I would imagine too, like using your roller coaster analogy, you start getting sick after those 4 days. And I also would say, let's say you somehow do maintain that happiness. You also need to experience the other end of the spectrum to even understand, like, oh, this is what happiness is. I think challenges are an important part of becoming fulfilled, because it's kind of overcoming those challenges. That's what I think helps us become better versions of ourselves. I don't know. So how would you then, because I think everyone's going to experience challenges, how would you suggest then they overcome these challenges, roadblocks that they may experience while they're chasing that better version of themselves?
Here's the thing, because I do think that many people hear when I say that we have to constantly pursue something to challenge ourselves. Like, oh, Serban, you're never satisfied. You don't have enough, right? That's the overarching. And some people may say, well, I have everything that I need. I don't need to pursue anything else. But we as human beings, we love progress. We thrive, right? Time kind of goes along, and we want to go along with time. And if we're the same today as we were 10 years ago, that is not a good place to be. And to the point of when it's going to be enough, it's never enough. And I have a saying that, I'm enough today. Like, I'm very happy with what I have and what I've achieved. And if I die today, I feel like I've done my best. But that doesn't mean that tomorrow I don't want to try to be better. Because in this life, I feel like we always want to evolve to a better version of ourselves. And whatever you were yesterday, Josh, tomorrow you want to be better than yesterday, right? Exactly. There's this always pursuit, right? And many kind of get complacent and feel like, oh, I should settle for what I have. And it's okay to feel like you have enough, But that peace of mind that I was talking about, you get it when you're trying to pursue something challenging. And why it needs to be challenging? Because if we don't put a pressure on us, we're not going to be able to grow. If we continuously stay in our bubble and we don't expand our bubble, then we're not going to feel satisfied. And a lot of people resort to, I'm just going to try to make more money. And that's the only thing that they know. But if you're finding something that you're passionate about, that you feel like it gives you joy, you think to yourself, I've done my best to pursue this. Well, yes, but what can I do to be even better?
There you go.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. I think we want to be better than we were yesterday. We want it, like, that's just, to put it simply. I think and kind of on those, when you were talking about the challenges and we need that pressure, oftentimes our instincts to say, oh, whoa, and step back and either run from that challenge, or two, I would say, you know what? That's enough challenge for me. This is all I can handle type thing. Like you said, kind of get complacent. Whereas on the flip side, if you want to actually chase that better version of yourself, you need to seek out those challenges. You need to find something that puts you under pressure and says, I don't really know how to do this. So
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of play along those lines. A lot of people, let's say they're in college, in school right now, they're probably just entering the workforce and they're like, you know what? I don't even know, man. Like, they don't know like the answer to a lot of questions. And then two, that there's kind of that fear of, oh, I don't know if I'm enough type of thing. How would you kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think time, Nietzsche had this awesome quote that I really like is, it takes a lifetime to learn how to live. So me, I'm good. But future me is going to be even better. Me 5 years ago, I was a complete mess, but I was good. We're constantly molding. So, you know, when I was in my 20s, I was struggling with so many fears of not being good enough in anything, right? And it's just part of who we are. Because that it goes back to what we were talking about. It's that progress, right? If you're pursuing something that's meaningful, it really gives you a more confidence on, okay, this is who I am. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I feel like you were wanting to ask a question.
Yeah, no, I just had this thought where there's a point in time where, like, kind of what you're talking about is being patient with yourself. Like, hey, look, I'm going to be better. Like, as long as I take on these challenges. But kind of a thought I have is, when's the time to pivot and try something new because it's just not working, or, you know, just kind of stick with it to the end type of thing?
Okay. So I think we're kind of going towards the idea of a passion, right? Or pursuing something meaningful. And I have to tell you that I struggled with this until 5 years ago. And it was, I always thought that, oh, passion is something that it's going to come to me. I'm going to encounter it, right? Because everybody says, find your passion, find your passion. Come to realize that passion is not something that you find and you stumble upon. And I like to use this analogy that passion, you find it not at the bottom of the ocean, but at the bottom of your heart. The more you're self-reflecting and figuring out things that are intriguing to you, things that you like to do. So you have all these different ideas, right? Many people have, and the big challenge that we have is we're kind of like dogs chasing ambulances. We don't know which one to go for. And the biggest challenge is to close, as Tom Bilio said, the 99 doors and just pick one. The one that it gives you some kind of energy. So whenever you're doing something, it electrifies you, right? Those times where you get into the flow, where you feel like you're starting to do something and you look up and it's like, oh crap, it's 3-4 hours have passed by and I didn't even realize. When you find that thing, that can be a passion. And it has to be maintained over a long enough time. And I know this is a constant struggle, especially in today's age, because, when I was growing up, I had three options to go to school, and school was very important. So I was either going to be an engineer, a doctor, and a lawyer. And lawyers were not looked that good in Romania. Doctors, I couldn't stand blood, so I'm like, okay, I'll go for the engineering. And luckily, I enjoyed it enough to make a career out of it. Where in today's environment, there's so many options, right? It's so difficult to pick. We have this paradox of choice. When there's so many options, we don't know which one to pick, and we're always doubting ourselves on which one should I pick. So if someone's really trying to figure out what exactly they want for their passion, they need to look for something that they enjoy doing over an extended period of time, that it gives them energy, and that is something that's productive, right? Because I like watching movies, but that's not something that is productive, right? You have to find, like, if you like playing the guitar and you really say that this is my passion, in a long enough timeline, if you're really passionate about it, you can make a living out of playing the guitar. And what do? You're actually helping others feel good by playing the guitar. And that's the idea of the passion. You don't do it just for yourself, you do it in service of others.
Exactly. And to kind of add on that too, don't get discouraged, because you're going to probably fail at first, right? The first time you pick up that guitar, you may love it, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, this is my passion. But then that first time where you go out on stage, who knows what's going to happen? You might be like, oh my gosh, I suck at this. And just kind of having that courage to just kind of say, you know what, let's try this again. It's almost like stupidity if anyone looks at it. You're like, oh my gosh, like, you failed at this multiple times. Try something else. It's like, yeah, but how am I supposed to become good at anything if I don't take the time to try and even be good at it in the first place? And that's where I think that fulfillment of, oh my gosh, I'm actually pretty good at this, kind of comes from. Would you agree there?
Yeah, that's really good. That's such a good point, Josh, because at first it's exciting, and then you have this peak where you're like, yeah, this is awesome, and then you start to have some doubts and valleys, and there's I don't remember what that effect is, where at first you learn and you're good at, and then the more you learn, the more you feel like you don't know.
Oh,
right.
And
then you're starting to realize, the more you learn, you're like, oh, I need to learn so much more. And a lot of people get that self-doubt in that valley that, oh, I probably don't know as much. And the one thing that we need to understand is that when we say that we're doing something that we're passionate about, you can be an actor, you can be a musician, you can be a businessman. There's always going to be moments of tiredness and exhaustion and self-doubt and insecurity. I haven't told this to many people, but back in the day in Romania, I used to be a DJ. And that's a fun job, right? I was I was 19 years old, and it's like having fun in the club, playing music. It's exciting, right? But that would be 3-4 hours a night. Another 20 hours, it would be me in my room at home practicing mixing the songs, because we didn't have that much technology as we do now, but it would just be a lot of hustle. And it would be exciting at times, but at times it would be really dull. So don't think that this passion is something that's going to be constantly just, you're riding a high. You're going to have ups and downs, and they're absolutely normal.
Exactly. And you need to ride those ups and downs. And I like to say the ups make you feel good about yourself, and that fulfillment, like, oh yes, I finally conquered this enemy or whatever. I finally conquered this goal that I set for myself. And and those lows humble you. It's like, oh man, maybe I'm not as great as I thought I was. And
yeah,
I think those two combinations really put you on the path towards creating kind of what we're talking about right now, this better version of ourselves. And it actually reminds me of Steve Jobs, like, a lot, and what he would talk about. He's like, you got to love what you're doing, and you got to realize, like, ask yourself in the mirror every day, the things you're doing today, and if this was the last day you were alive, would you be doing what you're doing today? If the answer is no, then you might want to reconsider like what you're doing. Because like you said, there's going to be dull moments where it's like, oh yeah, but it has to be done. And it's chasing this idea that you have that you want to bring forth for others to, whether it be enjoy, consume, or see, whatever it may be. So kind of on the idea side of things, some people are just clueless. They don't know. Is there any tips you got for like generating some of these ideas of, oh, maybe I should try this? Or I guess rather a better question would be finding those opportunities to better yourself and improve yourself.
Well, I think even for me, the first step on my journey of discovery, self-discovery 5 years ago was a lot of pain, actually, just because I was fine in my life, right? I've achieved that American dream and everything was fine. It wasn't like I was struggling financially, health-wise, relationship-wise. Everything was fine, but there was nothing fantastic. And it was just a period of a lot of frustration because I didn't know. And because I was in that valley and just frustrated, I was looking for an answer. And that kind of made me do a lot more of self-reflection and looking for different answers. And that's where, I started looking into personal development. And I read the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, where she talks about a fixed versus a growth mindset, the idea of we have all these preconceived notions that we are limited to the amount of things that we can do versus on a long enough timeline, if you want to do anything, you can. It's just, is this something that you really care for? So having those deep self-reflections, right? Like talking to a friend about not just what's happening in the NBA games, but figuring out, man, I'm really struggling with this. What do you think that I would be passionate about, right? To talk to your parents and, hey, what did I like to do when I was younger? What was I excited about? And just doing a lot of self-reflection and searching for the answer. It will bring you the answer, because it's like that Tony Robbins quote where focus goes, energy flows. So the more, you're like, I'm looking for that car, I'm looking for that car, I'm looking for that car, and all of a sudden the car shows up everywhere. The more you ask yourself of what exactly is that I'm supposed to do with my life and really reflect on it, have that self-reflection to figure out what it is on the bottom of your heart, those moments will show to you what can be a potential passion.
There you go. I love that. No, I really do. And kind of on the self-reflection side of things, there's multiple ways you could do that. And I think it's having that conversation with yourself, whether it's just you sitting there, kind of you and your thoughts, just having a conversation. One way I've found that's actually pretty helpful is writing things down. Those thoughts become a lot more, like, they become so much more clear when you start writing it down. Like, we think we have this idea in our head, and when we start writing it down, you're like, wait, this isn't what I meant. And then just trying to go to the bottom of this, what it is that you really want. And that's an exciting part. Is there any other ways you've found is kind of like, or strategies type of things where people could kind of participate in that self-reflection for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, the one that you said is really good. It's very powerful. I don't want to dismiss that, because it's one of the most powerful ones, because the thoughts that we have in our heads, they're kind of jumbled. And when you force yourself to write them down and have some coherent thought on a piece of paper, it really helps you clarify what you would potentially want. So that's a really good point. I mean, the other big thing for me is meditation, where it's the same principle of self-reflection, but it really helps you kind of look at all your thoughts when you're standing still and you're just observing your breath. You notice so many things just coming at you, and you just pluck them away, and then you're trying to focus again. And the more you do the meditation, the more you're starting to observe the the thoughts. It's kind of like at first it feels like they're bullets, and then they slow down, and you become like in the Matrix, where you're like, oh, I'm seeing the thought, and I'm seeing the thought. That really helps you observe the thoughts and figure out which ones are useful and which ones are not. So meditation is a really good method. The other one is just trying out a bunch of things, really. Listening to thought-provoking podcasts like Intelligent Conversations. It just gives you, it really is. You hear a thought over and over again, and you're like, yeah, I've heard this before. But you just need to be open, have that openness for, I'm looking for something, and hear the right person tell you that you can do anything you set your mind to. And in that moment, when you're listening to a personal development podcast or an audiobook or read a book, it really helps you kind of get your mind open to the possibilities. And we're not confined in the limitations that family or society or social media puts on us. We really can do anything that we want as long as we enjoy it and it's in purpose to serve others.
Exactly. And if anything, I want to touch on those limitations that you kind of said. Oftentimes, I would say the biggest thing that limits us is ourselves. We put those limitations on ourselves, and if we don't kind of say, hey, you know what, maybe I can do that. I mean, right, you see stuff on social media, and yeah, maybe some of it's fake, right? Let's just get that out of the way. But a lot of the things, it's like, yeah, they did that. It's there's literal proof right there that they've done it. Why can't I? Type of thing. And when you start digging, and this is my favorite part, especially in social media, you only see the good parts. When you start digging into their story, you realize, man, they went through some stuff. Like, they worked their tail end off to get that perfect Instagram picture. And I'm sitting here like, oh, I want that. But the question is, are you willing to, like, is it worth it to you to go through all those things that they did, or even worse things, or whatever it may be?
I want to touch on that, Josh, because it's such a good point, and this was the pivotal moment in my life too, where I had these notions in my head that I can only do so much, and that I should be content with what I have and stay in my lane and don't rock the boat or anything like that, and just limit myself to the life that I made for myself, and that should be good enough. And I didn't think that I could do anything more. That was my ceiling, and that's when I read the book Mindset. And I actually listened to a podcast from where Les Brown was talking about the idea of the mindset. And then I read the book, and the book says, you want to do something? You can. And I didn't believe it, right? To me, it was just like, that's impossible. Like, you tell me that I can do anything I want to do with my life? No. You see, I was brought up this way. You see, my parents didn't have enough money for me to do this. So I was just putting all these limitations and these negative thoughts in my head that I could not do it. And once I read the book, I figured, why don't I try it? Why don't I just see if this idea, if I can do anything, it's possible? And at that moment, what I tried, the first thing was, I don't know, I never liked running. I hated running. It was just something that I ran on a treadmill once for 10 minutes. I thought I was going to throw up. And I told myself, never again. So I read the book, and I'm saying, I've never run more than 2 miles in my life. How about I sign up for a half marathon? And Lord and behold, on a long enough timeline, with enough practice, dedication, and drive, I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year later, I was running half a marathon. A year after that, I ran a full marathon. And it was just mind-blowing to me, which proved to myself that, hey, I can do so much more than I thought I can do. And I started applying it to everything. Like, the punchline to what I'm doing is that I am a professional speaker. And before I encountered this idea that I can do anything I set my mind to, I literally sweated bullets when I had to introduce myself to 5 people in a conference room at work. Like, I was just so nervous that I could barely say my name. And then I encountered this idea of you can do anything you want. So then I went and said, okay, let me join a speaking club to see if I can improve my speaking. And from speaking, I observed that I really enjoy talking. Oh, and I really like this idea of the personal development, and I apply them to myself, and it works. And I want to apply it to, I want to tell it to the world. How can I do this? Well, I have to be better at communicating.
Exactly. And that's, I love that. I love that story. And I love how you started too with the marathons. Like, I mean, just, you know what? I'm just going to try this out type of thing. And it's, I don't know. There is one thing I would say that comes up, and this is a common thing. I've asked multiple guests this before, and that's that fear of failure that comes up. It's like, oh man, what if this happens? What if that, right? And it starts, and your mind just goes into overdrive type of thing. How do we handle that, right? That fear of, oh my gosh, is this going to even work if I do pursue it? How do we handle that?
The more I learn about this, the more I start to believe that there's no such thing as failure. They're just lessons. If you think back on the toughest things that you've accomplished, Josh, I'm pretty sure they were rough lessons that you had to learn. And from those rough lessons, you've learned the most. So to me, the struggle is necessary, but it's also beautiful because it really helps us grow. It really helps us expand and teach us so many things. Right? I keep thinking about this time when I was training for my run, and I was half a mile left, and I was feeling so good, but it was a trail run, and all of a sudden I didn't pay attention, and I tripped and I face planted on rocks.
Oh no!
And I kid you not, I hurt myself, but guess what? I was ultra sharp when it came to running on rocks, and I would never not pay attention. And it was a great lesson. Like, I was laser focused every time I was on running on rocks, because I knew, hey, remember that last time when you fell? Don't do that, right? It's a lesson. I mean, we never fail. We just learn and grow from it.
I like that outlook, that there's no such thing as failure until, I mean, let's just end it at that. There's no such thing as failure. You
always
learn.
get up, right?
Yeah.
It's not like failure is final if you don't get up. If you get up, then you're just, it's all a matter of how you're gonna interpret what happened to you. Because you can say, yes, I fell. Let me not ever do that again. Or you can go beyond that and say, I fell. What can I learn from it so that I can grow and never do that again? And how can I do whatever I did that I failed? Well, how can I do it better?
And it's
right. And at that point, you're just growing.
And I like that, because you change it from this negative type of thought, from, oh, I'm a failure type of thing, to, all right, we got another opportunity type of thing. And I think that right there is trying to find the opportunities from those failures, because even, let's say, an invention, right? Thomas Edison, famous guy, right? I'm sure when he was inventing the light bulb that first time, he's like, man, I really failed. I should just stop here. It's too hard type of thing. But he kept going at it until that one day where it was like, whoa, why don't I try this? Like, or he looked at it and he's like, okay, that didn't work. Why? But I now know this. Let's try this instead. And it gives you better insight to come up with even better and better ideas, to come up with incredible inventions, if it's that what you do, ideas, whatever it may be that you pursue.
Yeah, I'm going to quote my mentor, Tom Billio, is failure is the most data-rich point that you can find. And when you're failing, that's when you have the most information. Like, okay, shouldn't be doing this. What did I do wrong? How am I going to do it better? And the challenge is for us to not be stuck in what did I do wrong, but also go beyond that and say, what am I going to learn from this and going to do better next time?
Exactly. And it's also important to take that. The funny thing about these learning experiences is that it gives us a reality check really quick right? It throws something at us and we're like, okay, like now we know this does not work. Whereas if we kind of try and run or hide from these things, it's like, oh, I don't know if it's going to work. And you're kind of in this limbo. Whereas if you just try it, then you get a pretty good reality check pretty quickly. But kind of along those lines, sometimes we make poor decisions. How do we take kind of that accountability and say, you know what, this was wrong, and then pivot in the right direction type of thing?
I mean, this is kind of on the same lines, right? When we fail at something or we went on the wrong direction, it's the way we look at it, right? It's the story that we fabricate around it. It's more of, there's some people that are stuck in indecision. They're at the crossroad and they can go in multiple directions, and because they're unsure which direction they're going to take, they're just going to stand still and not go in any direction, which is the worst thing you can do. It's better off for you to go in the wrong direction and figure out, yeah, this was not it. Let me go back, because otherwise you're just stuck, right? You're just stuck in the same place, and frozen with the decision doesn't help. So even if you go on the wrong path, at least you know that this is not the right way. So you can circle back and readjust and say, okay, what else can I do? Which other path can I go?
I like that. I think if you make that effort to just try, and let's say in that scenario where you're placed with two decisions, if it ends up being, let's say, the wrong decision where it just doesn't work out for you, you can always look back and say, all right, this wasn't it, and then turn around, and yeah, it may take you a little longer, but then you get on the right path. Anything, you walk away with more battle scars type of thing, and you'll accelerate on that path even faster, because now you have this experience that other people that just chose to go that road don't have. And every time you talk about, oh yeah, I tried this and then I decided, oh, I was wrong, and went a different route instead, they're like, oh, they have no clue what it's like. They just went on that path and it was the right decision, and whoop-de-doo. And they never get, and I don't know, but that also, they never get challenged either. I think what we've been talking about, that challenge is important if you want to achieve great things.
Yeah. One thing that I can also say is that even though, it happens to be a very personal and private way of doing things, most of the things that we want to achieve in life, someone has done it. There's somebody out there who has walked the path that we want to walk. So it's figuring out what we want to do, and then understand who has been on this road that I can take advice from or emulate from. Right? They don't have to be someone that it might be someone that you just find them in a history book, or you find them on a podcast or something, and you're like, hey, I want to. That guy seems to be doing the things that I want to do. What has he been doing? Right? And you can emulate other people. You can also look for someone or a coach to help you find a way. Right? There's ways of doing this, so you don't have to do it alone and reinvent it.
There you go. I love that. And man, I hate to wrap this up too. This has been good. But I'll throw in the intelligent question of the day towards the end of this. But to kind of add on to what you were saying, I think that it's important to have, you have to know yourself too. You have to know what your core values are, and then act in accordance with those values to begin with. And then when you have those values, okay, I know who I am, then you can start searching for that passion that we've been talking about, and
100%
create that better version of ourselves. So, as the intelligent question of the day, a lot of people, a lot of the listeners, they're entering their career, trying new things, whatever it may be. How can they kind of establish those values? Because this age especially, that's when I think those values are really established.
Values are very important. I'm with you, and they're crucial. And a lot of times, because of society and other people are around us, we step on our own values just to blend in. But the more we're able to know what our values are, really, I look at values as think of a tree that has roots, and our values are those roots. And the more we can identify, like what values do we most value, the stronger those roots are. When the wind comes and it blows through the tree, those roots are going to hold us strong, right? When the boss yells at you, some failure happens, the more you're able to stand on those grounds or those values and those roots, the deeper they are, the stronger they'll hold you, right? So if you value, for example, kindness, right? That's one of my core values. So even if someone's rude to me, I know my value is to be kind. So I'm not going to jump back at them and be rude, because that's what they did, right? Because that erodes my value. So then that root that I'm saying that, oh, I value kindness, then it's weak. But the more I practice the value of being kind, the value of appreciating growth, the value of always telling truth, or whatever, I value health. I stand strong when those values are challenged, because I know they're going to make me even stronger. So it's important for everybody to identify and live by them. And you might want some new values. Don't go off and say, oh, now from today I value health, where in reality you just like partying all the time, right? That it kind of goes around against your values. But think of value as something, or health is something that I want to have as part of my value. So ask yourself, how can I line up more? How can I live more in with the values that I want to foster? And the more you water those values, and someone says, hey, let's go tonight and get absolutely drunk, and you say, no, I'll have one beer, thank you. Then you're watering the right values. And the more you're able to water those values, the stronger they're going to be, and the more you'll be able to handle the adversity that's going to come your way in a workplace, in a social group, in any kind of environment.
Exactly. And that's the intelligent answer of the day. I love that. And if I were to add anything, it would say, kind of along, I guess, more of the social aspect, make sure you surround yourself with people with those similar values, because then they'll help strengthen your roots. I really like that analogy of the tree. And they'll strengthen your roots, and that will also help build up resilience. And I mean, heck, this world it's not nice, so you need to have resilience in today's world, and I think it's crucial.
You're the average the 5 people you spend time with. So
exactly, I love that. Well, Serban, thank you for coming on today. So if people want to find you, reach out to you, receive coaching from you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Well, thanks for having me. It was a great conversation, intelligent one. They can just look up my name, so Serban Mare, on Instagram or on my website, serbanmare.com. They can email me, DM me in Instagram, and we can connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, great.
All right, everyone. As you can tell, that is Serban Mare. He is a very intelligent person, has great things to share. I challenge you guys, if anything spoke to you guys today, to reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be happy to chat with you. Stay tuned till next week. We have a great guest lined up for you guys. See you guys next week, and let's get after it. Hey everyone, if you liked this episode and would like to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button. We release a new episode every Wednesday for you guys to listen to. Thank you guys so much for the support that you give. We could not have done this without you guys. If you would like to be a potential guest on the show, check out intelligentconvos.com and fill out the form there. Thank you guys again, and let's get after it.